Welcome to It's a Woman's World, where we'll meet achieving women making a difference in our community. I'm Carolyn Bruna. Our guest is Rita Goodroe, business mentor, speaker, and author, and founder of Women's Business Garden, a global community of women entrepreneurs. Welcome, Rita.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Oh, you're welcome, and I'm very excited. You were recommended and got rave reviews from a good friend of mine who founded Sterling Women,
Yes.
which is a networking group in Virginia, close by us here. We're in Maryland, D.C. area. And I wanted to know if you've spoken at that conference or their luncheon. What was it?
So Sterling Women has a monthly luncheon. Christina Barreri started the organization many years ago, and they have a monthly luncheon, and they contacted me and asked if I would come speak, and it was an honor because I had been networking there for a while, and so to be asked to speak, I had been an attendee, and suddenly I was up on the stage talking to all of these women. It was a great luncheon.
Oh, that's nice. You know, I've been to her luncheons, and they're always very good. Yeah, so we kind of go back and forth with over the bridge with the Washington, Maryland, Virginia area, D.C. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. No, there are a lot of wonderful women go there, and I really enjoy it. I still attend even as an attendee. There's some amazing speakers there.
Yeah. But let's hear a little bit about your history, though. And you started out, or you were a business attorney.
Yes.
And then simultaneously writing or organizing, not writing, but organizing a group of called Singles in the Suburbs.
Singles in the Suburbs.
So what is that group? Tell us about that.
So I was single, working as a business attorney. I had, for the first part of my career, all of my friends were single, but such is the life of a lawyer. Suddenly all of my friends were not single anymore. They were meeting people, and they were getting married, and they were having kids, and I was still working 80 hours a week at the office. So I wanted to meet other single people. I wanted to not necessarily find love, but I just wanted to meet other single people, to go out, hang out, make friendships, and everything was in the city. I was living in Reston, and so everything that there was like, let's go to Arlington, let's go to D.C., and the last thing I wanted to do on a Wednesday after work was get on 66 and drive to Arlington to meet single people.
From out of our area realize we have horrendous traffic.
It's terrible, right? By the time I would get there, it would be over, right? It would be time to go home. I would have missed it, right? Because traffic was that bad. So I started my own singles group. Meetup.com was a new website at the time, and I went online and said, I'm just going to start my own. I'm going to have the events here in my neighborhood. I thought maybe I'd meet a couple of people, but it's been around for 11 years now, and there are 5,000 people in the group.
Wow, so you started a decent group, and you mentioned the word love.
Yes.
So tell me, did you actually find love in that group?
Yes and no.
Oh.
Yes, no, and yes. So I met a guy almost immediately after starting the group, through the group. So that was unanticipated. That was not anticipated for me to meet him. But I met him, and we started dating, and we ran the group together, actually, for 5 years. So we ran it together, kind of sad. But it was almost impossible for anyone to date me to not, because that became kind of my main hobby, right? Yes. When I had free time, it was, let's run an event, let's do something for the singles. So anyone who was with me pretty much had to get on board with running this singles group. And he did. He was a great assistant organizer to that group. So we ran that group together until he broke up with me after about 5 years. And so I found love through it, then didn't find love through it, but it was that breakup that kind of spurred everything.
I think I read something online that said about you then decided, okay, I'm going to do 35 dates in 35 days.
Yeah.
Is that correct? And tell me about that.
That's right. So the breakup that I talked about, it was one night. It felt sudden, but looking back, it was not a sudden breakup. Kind of signs were everywhere. Ignored. So I was sitting there the next day talking to my best friend. We were drinking. We might have had a bottle of wine that we were drinking. And I said, I'm about to turn 35. This was many years ago. I was about to turn 35. And I said, I've had 5 long-term relationships in my life. And the only thing that these relationships have in common are that they ended and me. And that was it, right? So I said, maybe I might have something to do with why my relationships keep, maybe. So to figure it out, by the end of the bottle, I had decided to go on 35 dates in 35 days to celebrate my 35th birthday.
Oh, I see. Okay, yeah, I didn't realize that at all. That's good.
Yeah.
That's really good.
But it wasn't, again, it wasn't about finding love. The whole point was to figure out what was I doing to cause these situations. So I didn't know anything about the guys. When I put out the request to do this, I said, I don't want to know anything about them. I don't want to know their age or their race or what they do for a living, and I want them to pick the activity because I wanted to be really uncomfortable interacting with people that I would normally not meet on my own, doing things I would normally not do on my own. So I had to figure out how did I react in those situations so I could learn about myself.
I
kind of
see.
change
Yeah,
my patterns
I mean,
a little bit.
Get out of your comfort zone in
Very
order
much.
to find. So
Yeah.
then you're doing your 35 dates, and my new theme about love. Did you find love now in this particular instance?
The blog is still out there. Actually, you can Google Rita 35 dates. I blogged all about it. The blog though was not really so much about the guys. It was more what I was learning about myself. But date 34 introduced me to my husband. So my husband was not one of my 35 dates, but one of my dates introduced me to my husband. So had I just kind of ruled him out because he was not a fit, then I would have never met my husband.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, this was really interesting. Very different from anything else I've heard. So
Yes.
Why not? Why not?
Yes.
That's really
it was
great.
fun. I mean, the lessons, a guy took me to trapeze school, and I'm terrified of heights.
Oh, gosh.
And so that whole blog, there's actually a video of me crying for 20 minutes up on the platform.
I think I'll skip that one.
Yeah, it's actually quite funny. But for 20 minutes, I'm up on the platform crying, going, I don't know how I'm going to get down. I finally did it, right? And my whole blog was how I felt the fear and did something anyway.
Yes.
And then the supportiveness of these people who didn't even know me, rallying around me, saying, you did it, way to go, and how that felt, because I had not really had that in my relationship. So,
I see,
yeah.
Well, actually, speaking of fear, then you left your own, career as a business attorney, and then you became a dating coach, is that correct? Full-time?
Yes, so...
Okay, so tell us.
So because of my blog, a lot of people started contacting me saying, would you coach me? Would you coach me? And I thought, no. And one day a coach contacted me and said, Rita, do you realize you're already coaching people? You don't really love the law. You should really quit the law and do this full time. And I said, call my mom and tell her I'm going to quit being a lawyer to become a dating coach. And then if she's okay with it, then I'll do it, right? Well, the universe had different ideas, and my whole company, I was working in-house for a Fortune 500 company, and it got restructured, and they outsourced everything, and suddenly my job was not really my job, and I didn't like it, and I said, that's it. I think I'm going to try this date coaching thing, and I quit and jumped right into it.
You know, there was another thing that I caught reading some of your information online and such, is that you made more in your first 3 months as a dating coach than you were doing as a lawyer, and I was amazed by that.
I was amazed by that.
How did this happen, though? It makes no sense. That's great.
It's because I jumped into it. I really didn't want to go back to the law. My husband had said, Rita, we have about 3 months where you can play around with this date coaching thing, and then you have to go back, and you can do this on the side if it doesn't.
Oh, I see.
And I didn't want to go back, so I really threw myself in it, and I started going out and networking, and I read everything I could, and I hired my own coach right away, and I jumped right
smart.
in, and started building my business. I wanted it to be successful enough that I didn't have to go back to a full-time job and build that on the side.
Oh, I see. Well, that was very smart, and I like the idea that you hired your own coach, because I know a lot of people are afraid to spend that money, and yet you need that. It's really very important to put money into yourself and into whatever business you're starting. Yeah.
If I had waited, I would have just, a lot of people say, well, I've got to wait to get clients before I can pay my coach to come teach me how to get clients.
Yeah.
And what I see is people just waiting and waiting and waiting and never getting the clients. It really is an investment, but the work is the interest that you pay back on that, right? Investment. So you have to do the work to be able to recoup the money back that you've invested. And so I did. I mean, I was working I guess I was the definition, I don't like this word, but hustle. I was hustling, but it worked, right? It worked. I got visible, I got seen, I got an expert gig at the Washington Post for a while. I won, I was a finalist, I didn't win, but I was a finalist for the Best Date Coach Award, which is a big deal in the iDate Awards. And I was speaking everywhere, and that's how I got all my clients. It was just visibility and being seen.
Wow. But then, actually, I don't mind the word hustle. I kind of like it. Yeah. And then from there, you transitioned to working with women entrepreneurs. And then how did you do that again? Because you were successful.
I was successful. I was. That was not, again, none of this was anything that was on my map of what was going to happen to me. But when I was speaking, I noticed that women were coming up to me and they weren't saying, hey, Rita, how do I get a second date? They were saying, Rita, how do I quit my job and do what you did, where you made this so successful? Tell me about that. And I started talking to women, and I really sat down and said, how did I do that? And I realized all of the things that I had done in my history and all of my different positions with the singles group as a lawyer, you know, in my in-house position, doing the date coaching practice and building that up, and I mapped it all out, and I started coaching women on the things that I had done to grow a business.
Oh, that's interesting. And you know what, you just said something about, you know, did I do that? And you sat down. I was actually even doing that myself recently about, well, things like the show and then wanting to speak on interviewing. And I said, well, okay, what is it that I actually do? What steps do I go through in order to give a show on TV, present a show, interview somebody? And I think more women don't stop enough, you know, and think about that. What are you doing? You are successful. What is it that you're doing that is making you successful? So I think that was a great step.
Thank you. And I think in any stage of life, even planning a birthday party, a surprise party, if you sit down and write down what you did to get that surprise party together, you would be amazed at the skills that you exercise to do that. We just take it for granted, right? So what I did was, I call this the difference of business building versus marketing. And I feel like too many entrepreneurial women, or entrepreneurs in general, focus on marketing. And marketing is our activities that get you business down the road in the future. So what that means is they're doing their websites, they're doing their business cards, they're doing their brochures, they're doing all of this newsletters and articles, and all of that's great, but it's not business building. Business building gets you money now, like immediately. That's networking, that's meeting people face to face, that's public speaking, that's showcasing your expertise, your authority in a real meaningful way that connects with relationships. Because relationships are really, at the end of the day, what drives business and success.
Yes, true.
But people are not doing that. They don't want to go out. They don't want to. They're afraid of rejection or failure. So they hide behind marketing. Well, marketing can bring in money after you've made connections and relationships, or it will bring people in, but they won't hire you until they've moved over to know you and build a relationship with you. So I just said, you know what? I'm not going to worry about all of that right now. I'm just going to go out and network and speak and meet people and tell people what I do, get clients, and the rest will work out. And so generally, there was more to it than that, but that's really, I think, the main difference that made me so successful.
And then from there, your idea for Women's Business Garden, how did that germinate?
I like that. I like that phrase. And that's why I picked the name. No, but I was meeting these women, and I wanted to introduce them to each other. So I wanted a space where I was meeting amazing women. I thought they could really help and support each other. So I went on Facebook, good old Facebook, and I started a Facebook group. And I thought, oh, this will just be a place that the women can be housed, you know, and kind of come in and talk to each other. Well, it turned into much more than that. I mean, it's a global community with thousands of women. We are doing amazing things, but I started providing educational programs and coaching programs and workshops and guest experts and community events, both virtual and in person at various areas. And now we're even starting a mentorship program. So those are, it just escalated beyond anything I had anticipated. And I said, this is it. This is my business. This is what I do. This is not just a Facebook group.
I see. So you almost accidentally started the Facebook group, and accidentally meaning it turned into a business because, you know, like I was talking to you earlier, most people, of course, start with their website, but instead you started with this Facebook group, and it's blossomed so much. Blossom was
See, it's such a great name, right? Because you can use all the garden puns.
That's right. So that now, of course, now you're working on your website, but this really helped you to get everything going.
Well, it really goes right back.
Growing.
Yes, and growing and blooming and
stop.
cultivating community. It's really great. right? So it really is fun to have that the puns are great.
Yes,
and they really they're a nice parallel to business growth and business building.
That's so true.
But I think, again, that it's because I focused on community and relationships and people. So by bringing this community together, by connecting them to each other, that helped boost my credibility and authority. By teaching them, by educating them and giving them value in this community space, I, again, built my trust factor with them. And I think that escalated my business faster than if I had spent that time on a website.
We're going to take a break, and then we'll come back and talk more about your business and other things that you do offer to women so they can grow. We'll break for a short public service announcement.
Maybe you can make retirement happen. After all, you made home ownership happen. Homeschooling yourself on loans, beefing up your credit score.
So I'm pre-approved.
You were like, yes! Sorry. Color-coding listings, ticking boxes, and flushing every toilet in a 20-mile radius. Home sweet home. You aced house hunting. Now get the tips you need to get on track at aceyourretirement.org.
Welcome back to It's a Woman's World. I'm speaking with Rita Goodroe, founder of Women's Business Garden. Hey, Rita, we talked a lot about Women's Business Garden and your Facebook group that you actually started through. So I wanted to go into that and ask you about, is it the wave of the future to start a group through Facebook or through something like that rather than starting a website right away? Yeah,
so I think I will say yes, but it's bigger than Facebook. So I think that if you really want a successful business and kind of what the future trends are showing,
that's right,
is that it's coming from community building. Whether you're starting a meetup group or a Facebook group or an in-person organization or just even an informal social group, but you're rallying community around you personally in a very, not just, in fact, I did a educational bit on this the other day, the difference between an audience and a community. So a web page gives you an audience, right? It's kind of you up here talking to people and they're watching you and they're learning about you.
Yes.
But Facebook groups and other things like it, you're down with them. We're all in the same, it's not just about you. You're giving them a space to talk to each other, talk about themselves, right? So everybody's on this stage, right? Well, there's actually something called social dollars. And people are 19% more likely to buy your products and services if they're part of a community where you've connected them to other people. So, because I think people find that really powerful, right? That it's not just you up on stage. It's everybody lifting each other up and supporting each other. And if you're the leader of that because it's a movement, right? If you're the leader of that bigger movement, then people credit you for that, even if you have no actual interaction at the moment, right? If you meet somebody and it's because of a group that I created, you're going to think, I'm so glad Rita started this community, right?
And you're actually starting this community and introducing other people to each other, not just to you. So you're spreading the word, spreading the seeds.
Yes. So a community just can't be about you. When people say, what's the difference? I said, the community is really not about me. Right now, I do showcase and I lead them, I facilitate them, I provide them with education and information that helps them grow their business because I know them and I'm kind of watching what they need, right, and providing it. But really, at the end of the day, that community is probably a mile a minute right now without me. I can step back. I always say, people go, did I build an audience or a community? And I say, can you disappear for 3 days and it's still fire on all cylinders? Because if you can't, you probably didn't build a community.
Oh, I love that. That's a great educational tool and definitions and everything for people to learn from. And so I can see, so you're saying this is the wave of the future. It's just a different way of looking at it and a different way of approaching, I guess.
I think people really have learned. I feel like almost we went to the extreme with social media, pulling away real, authentic relationships. And for a while that was exciting and it was new and we felt so connected because we could talk to anybody from anywhere. But then at a certain point we felt disconnected because we weren't having real conversations and relationships, and people are going back to that. And I think that that's showing in business, that people are craving that's who they want to support, that's who they want to invest in. Their livelihoods depend on it. And now they really want to have that connection, that ability to know who you are before they invest in your products or services.
Yeah, that's wonderful. And you're right. And I have heard people say, even though they're online so much, that they feel isolated and alone. And so this brings brings people back together.
Yes.
I love that. Yeah.
Yes.
And now you've gone through a number of transitions. Attorney, business coach, data coach, now founder of a entrepreneurial global community.
Yes.
So tell us transitions. I think a lot of people worry about how to make these transitions, and did you find them easy or hard?
Ooh,
What do you
I don't
think
think it's ever easy, right? I think that eventually you just kind of, I stopped living in a fear-based place, and I started living in what I call a faith-based place. And when I say faith, I don't mean religion, although it can be to somebody, but I really mean that idea that it's going to work out, that as long as I take action, that action is rewarded, and it will put me where I need to be. And I might not know where that is, but I will always end up exactly where I need to be as long as I'm taking action. So that means I need to take forward movement. So the minute that I kind of stopped the fear-based mentality, which means just blindly follow this path of being a lawyer that had been laid out without thinking about, did it serve me? Did I want to? And I kind of went into, you know what, it's all just going to lead me. Look at where I am. I was a lawyer, and now I'm running a group for women entrepreneurs. I had to be on this idea where I don't really know where I'm going to end up. But as long as I take action, I'll keep ending up where I need to be, and I'm just going to kind of go into it, right? So that idea of it will all work out and having an abundance mindset that there's plenty out there for everyone, right? That's the most important.
That's the most important, I think, too, about the abundance mindset, because so many people are afraid to share what they've learned because it's theirs.
Yes.
They want to teach it themselves. But I think there is so much out there that it's definitely enough for everyone.
There's enough for everybody, right? There's plenty, but it's also, that leads to a non-competition based mindset. So that's why Women's Business Garden thrives, because we lift each other up. We're not, even if you're in the same field, there are other business mentors, business coaches in there. I don't mind. There's plenty for everybody. We resonate with different people. When you have that mindset, no competition, there's an abundance. Let's lift other people so that we succeed. Our success comes from helping other people. So you come at things from a place of service, and you just take action.
I see.
I think it all kind of ends up where it's supposed to end up.
Oh, and I like you said resonate with other people. Well, you've actually resonated. I need to read this. But you were selected as a change-making company by the State of Women Summit convened by the White House.
Yes.
So you resonated there.
I
So
did.
tell
I
us,
guess
how
so.
did that happen?
Honestly, I got an email one day from, it was back during the Obama White House, so it was in June 26, June, I don't know, one of the Obama years. And I got a letter saying, hey, there's a summit called the State of Women Summit, and they're convening in Washington, D.C., and you have been selected as a change-making company because you were nominated by a couple of women for this. So I didn't even know it existed, but members of the Women's Business Garden community nominated me, nominated Women's Business Garden, and said, this is an organization that we think is really coming at business from a different way. And I guess they agreed, and I was invited to attend the summit for a 3-day weekend. It was amazing.
Oh, that's very exciting. I'm so glad you got that opportunity.
Thank you.
Now you can share that information and the excitement of it. And
thanks to social media, I was sharing it real time, right?
Tell us a little bit more about what Women's Business Garden provides.
So really the crux of it is the community. I like to say that our tagline is cultivating community and growing ideas to keep business blooming. So the community is the first thing, connections with other women entrepreneurs for a variety of reasons. But then education. So education, mentorship, and community. So I start with the community, but education is next. So there are coaching programs that some are paid, some are free. There are workshops led by me, by other experts. There are a variety of community events. So we have book clubs and networking events, both virtually for members that live all over, and an in-person component where I live in the DC area because I'm here, and so I can do that. And then I'm starting to explore starting a mentorship program for young girls. So I'm talking to some organizations that we might be able to partner with where we can help young girls recognize the power of entrepreneurship, or at least the skills that go into it, because those still aren't taught in school. Entrepreneurial skills aren't taught in school.
As long as you're mentioning that, let's go into that. What are the entrepreneurial skills for young girls? I love that topic.
Yes.
Really,
I think mindset's a huge one, and there's not enough of talk about the power of the mind, the power of the mindset, the abundance versus scarcity we're talking about, knowing your value, recognizing what you bring, tapping into your skills, but also financial, sales, marketing, everything that you need to think of. in my day, it was a civics fair that we would have in school where we got to pick a product and go sell it at a fair, but we didn't really learn how to make it work. We just put up a poster, right? And hoped people stopped by our booth. Well, we're teaching everything that you need to kind of take an idea and see it to fruition. And if it doesn't work out, then the most important skill with those young girls is saying, but it's not failure, right? If it doesn't work out, what did this teach you to do next? And that's something that also with in school with an A or an F or a D or whatever, you're not taught, no, that's not, it's preparing you for something else. It's showing you, it's teaching you.
Yeah, that is true. And we're so, especially young girls, especially in school, I think you get that feeling that, oh, my grade wasn't sufficient, I'm not enough, it is failure. And we're not taught that. I like it's not failure. It's a lesson that you've learned. It's another step towards success, and that success is a ladder, of course, is what they say.
Yes.
And how can we turn that into growing?
How can you grow, right?
How can you grow?
You can't have success without failure. You can't have night without dark. You can't have happiness without sadness. But too often that's not really something that's taught because, you know, they have their curriculum. So that's where I hope to step in and having some of the members of Women's Business Garden go and connect with these girls and really just help empower them to step into whatever it is that they want to step into.
Oh, that's just really fabulous.
Thank you.
And I wish you a lot of luck with that. Yeah, you're going to have to contact schools then to do that? You haven't started that yet?
There are a couple of programs, private programs that are rallying girls. So whether it's for STEM, because girls in STEM is big, mentorship programs for young girls in general. So there are a couple of good organizations that are looking for the add-on of the entrepreneurial side of things. So I'm hoping to fill in one of those gaps.
Oh, great. And I know you have lots of wonderful testimonials online as well, and of course, from successful speaking and the rest in Virginia with my friend there. But so give us a couple success stories, you know.
I think my favorite was just recently this girl posted, she said, oh my gosh, you guys, you don't understand. Rita helped me reduce my expenses by 50%, but then double my income. So I reduced my expenses and I doubled my income. And what she said is, this is a real business, not a hobby. And she said, that's the first time that I felt like, this is it. This is real. And I haven't been able to hold her back ever since, right? But it's watching women realize this isn't just me pretending or me having fun on the side or me doing something I enjoy. This is a business that's changing lives, whatever their business is. And those testimonials light me up the most, definitely. Or seeing people create their community, saying, Rita, I stopped coming at business building from the old ways, the websites and I started connecting with people. And boy, has my world opened up for me. That just makes me so happy.
Yeah. Well, not that the websites are not important, because they are as well.
Yes, they are important.
You're also building your own.
I am building my own.
Yeah. But the community is the first challenge and the thing that the people
I always
should
say
learn.
you can get a client without a website by meeting people, but you're not going to usually get a client from a website without going out and meeting people and having those relationships and kind of the social proof and the real person proof that comes from doing that. Somebody will go to a website and go, but I still want to know about her. I still need to know what other people are saying about her. So a website is very helpful to bring you leads, to bring you business, and especially if you have a product, you need a website. But you can definitely go get business without one. So when I say don't focus on it, it just means don't start there. Right?
Yes, I see.
Because it won't help you as much as starting with people and with people talking about you and referring you and word of mouth, and that's so powerful.
Well, tell people how they can get a hold of you, and is it through Facebook?
It actually is. You can search for Women's Business Garden on Facebook, and the group will come up, and you can just kind of click on the group. You can just go to womensbusinessgarden.com, and if you go to that site for right now while it's being built and enter your information, you'll get an email telling you about all of our groups. So the link to the Facebook group, the link to the meetup group in the DC area, the information for any educational programs that are going on. But right now, Facebook is probably, while our site's being built by a lovely woman, I'm so excited for it, that Facebook will be the best way. And Twitter, I'm all over Twitter as well.
Oh, okay. So I guess the last thing I'm going to say is, or ask you is, when people think about Women's Business Garden, what do you want to come to their mind?
That success comes from helping other people. I just say that over and over and over, but I really believe it. If you focus on helping other people, you can't help but succeed. And when people think of Women's Business Garden, they always go, it's an amazing supportive community that's helping each other. And I want that to continue. I don't want it to be, that's the best place to get sales training or the best place to get marketing. I want it to be, that's the place where everybody is dedicated to the success of everybody else.
Oh, great. Thank you so much. This is enlightening.
Thank you. I had a great time.
Yeah, I did too. Thank you. We hope you've enjoyed meeting Rita Goodroe as much as I have, and you've learned some tips about community and bringing community to your business. If you know a woman who's gone above and beyond to contribute to our community, please email us. We're itsawomansworld@mmctv.org. Remember, it's a woman's world. I'm Carolyn Bruna. See you next time.